Hey, Satini. Good to see you guys. It's Tuesday, April 29th today, and this is our last class of the semester. We'll keep you posted on the fall class as we schedule out our dates with Tlingit and Haida. But please stay tuned and look forward to rejoining us in the fall. But yeah, this is our last one. So we have a story that we want to share with you, an audio recording of a story and an image. We'll play it. It's about 10 minutes long. We'll talk about it. And then to close us out, we have a lot of information about berries and plants for summer harvest so that we can send you off on your summers and hopefully you all have good, fruitful summers.
We'll try to tell you what the state says about the berries and what we say about it.
Yeah, our our first topic is the story, and we wanted to talk about the style of storytelling. A couple things Shirley mentioned are that, Shirley, do you want to tell us about the storyteller and your relationship to her?
Yeah. The storyteller is not a native. She is she is a classmate of mine from the university in the class that I'm taking, and she told the story. So I quickly asked her if she could record it so you can hear it. A really wonderfully dramatized version of the story I heard before and have told before. So it's really uh, it really grabs your attention, and it's so picturesque when as she goes along because of her method of telling the story. Usually, the men are the ones that are the storytellers and are very, very dramatic uh, in in their telling of the story. So it was wonderful to hear her and whoever it was that taught her did a good job as a non-native speaking Tlingit, and she does a, a self-introduction at the beginning of the story, and I thought it was kind of interesting when she in part of the story the man of the in the story who was trying to get food. One of the things that he got was collected was gum boots. And I don't know how that name came to be, but uh, it stuck, and we used to collect those. And towards the ocean, they're much bigger, and it's a shellfish that clings to the rock. So you need to pry them once they're exposed from the tide going out to pry it off the rock. And the skin on the shell was black and very thin. Once you cook it, that usually is easy to dispose of that skin. And there's a row of shells that go down the spine, and you need to remove those before you try to eat it. So, so it was uh, interesting to me that he was collecting those because the tribe was kind of suffering for food, and that's the reason he took the chance to go and try to collect some food. So the story is they traveled all the way out to the Pacific Ocean from Huna. from the Huna area where the Chukanady have homes, or Glacier Bay. And it's it's pretty the channel that goes out to the ocean. You have to travel a ways before you get there, down the channel and to the point. And she mentions the point where they went. So uh, I hope I'm giving you a picture of this, because what happened there was out in the Pacific Ocean, not in the inland. So, okay. If there are any comments or questions, if you heard the story before, we can discuss it after you listen, because you might have recognized the story as she goes along. She's very dramatic.
Is anyone here familiar with this story already?
Unfortunately not.
That's okay, you're in for a treat. A couple things Shirley also mentioned to me before we hit play is that the storyteller gave credit to all the right people, so let's listen for that. Um, she started out with her personal self-introduction and did a good job. And then listen to how she's relaxed and let that kind of inspire us when we're speaking, public speaking. Just take a breath and stay grounded and stay relaxed. It's a good example for us. Um, and then going forward, how we can concentrate on our informal self-introductions, because in public we're not often called on to do a formal self-introduction. So without further ado, here's the picture of the totem pole, the kutia, and I'm gonna go ahead and hit play on this audio
Is in Huna.
in Huna, yeah. And it just takes a few seconds to start, but I've hit play and it'll begin here in a couple seconds.
Shirley, this is Christy, and
Oh,
I'd like to share with you and your students the story of Haktush. This is a totem pole here that's right in front of the K through 12 school in Huna. It was carved by Rick and Mick Beasley in, I believe, the 60s. And I had the honor to get to go to Huna for the past couple of summers. I was a tour guide there, and I was allowed to share quite a couple of Tlingit stories. And so I guess I'd like to share with you guys that today. I'd like to start off with an introduction, a Tlingit introduction. And so here we go. Tlingit kenach Hesh gat yuchat tuasach. Leitka henach Christi yuchat tuasach. Yech lechat site. Ductain tan aechat. Skat yadi aechat. Fulton dishchan aechat. Olsen dishchan aechat. Gunach chish hat yadi. Now this means that my Tlingit name is Hesh gat. This means blue sockeye. My English name is Christy. I have been welcomed, at least for the couple of summer seasons, into the Duckdain Tan, the Raven Seagull clan. And I am a child of the Scots, grandchild of the Fultons and the Olsons. Gnakshish. Hati ID. This means thank you for listening. Now, here at the bottom of this totem pole, we have Haktush. He has ears carved out in the side of his head. Ears are not generally carved on a totem pole, however, is important to the story, so they were carved out here. Now, Haktush is holding a copper shield, a halibut hook, and dagger. Above this is the raven, as Haktush was a part of the raven moiety, or of the raven clans, and sticking out from his belly is that of a canoe. This shows that Haktush was a mighty fisherman. Above this is the octopus. Now, in Tlingit culture and many native cultures, it is believed that everything has a spirit, from the ground that we walk on to the trees and the glaciers and even the animals. So you will always see an animal on a totem pole with a face carved out on it to represent the spirit of that animal. Above this, we have gumboots, halibut, and salmon. Gumboots are a type of crustacean that kind of sticks onto the rocks on shore. Halibut, salmon, these are types of things that Haktush might be fishing for in the time of his life. Above this, at the very top, is Haktush's wife and child. Now, in the Tlingit culture, it is a matrilineal society, which means that when you are born, you will take that of your mother's clan, and so on and so forth, kind of like that of taking a father's last name. Now, when it comes time for you to marry, traditionally you must marry somebody of the opposite moiety, or the opposite clans. And so we see that Haktush, he was of the raven moiety, and his wife at the very top, she has an eagle-beaked nose. This shows that she was a part of the eagle moiety, or of the eagle clans. Now, going back down below, we know that Haktush was a mighty fisherman. However, at the time of his life, there were other great fishermen. They would go out to sea and they would vanish. Nobody knew why. What was happening to these great fishermen? Haktush says, I am going to go out fishing. Haktush's wife, she looks at him, she says, what are you, crazy man? Don't do that. You're going to die. You're going to vanish like all the rest. Please, I beg of you, do not go fishing. And so Haktush, he listens to his wife and he does not go. However, as the days began getting colder and nights began getting colder and food became more scarce. So again, Haktush says, I am going to go out fishing. I need to help provide for my people, for you, my family. And so Haktush's wife, she says, you may go fishing under one condition. You must take me and our child with you. And so they all load up in their canoe and they set sail to the very end of the point. This is where Haktush, he leaves his wife and child on shore, and they begin to search for those gumboots, maybe searching for some berries on the shoreline. And Haktush, he wasn't very far away. Even though the water was deep, he still wasn't far away. This is where all the best halibut were. Now, very frequently throughout the day, Haktush's wife would call out to him, and she would say, Haktush! And he would turn around and wave. And everything was fine. But the very last time that Haktush's wife went to check in on him, she saw underneath his canoe dark waters, bubbles coming up to the surface, slimy tentacles creeping up on that canoe. And she yelled out, Haktush! Danger! Beneath you! Haktush, he looks. He sees this great danger. However, it is too late, and the tentacles of that great octopus came and took him deep into the sea below. Haktush's wife, who has just seen this, she kneels down and she begins to mourn for the loss of her husband. But with her child in her arms, with her child with her, she knows that she cannot stay. So she begins the long journey all the way back to her people, where she tells them what has happened to Akhtush, what has been taking all of their fishermen. And they said, "No more! We will go out and we'll avenge our fishermen and we will slay that beast." And so they load up in their canoes, they sharpen their spears, and they're about to head out when the carcass of an octopus washes ashore. This they slice open. They find the body of Haktush. Now it is because of his wife's warning. He had had just enough time to lash his halberd hook and his dagger to his hands, and he slayed that octopus from the inside. And so his people, they go back to his wife, they ask, "What is it that you would like? What is it that you would need? And it shall be yours, for your husband has done us a grand deed on this day." Haktush's wife replies, she says, "I want for nothing except for the emblem of the octopus." And so it is to this day. Whenever you see a Tlingit woman with an octopus on her handbag or on her regalia, her cultural clothing, you will know that she is a Chukinadi woman and a descendant of Haktush. Now, I would like to give thanks and say Ganakshish to the Chukinadi people, the Eagle Bear clan, for whose story this is. Ganakshish, thank you guys all so much for listening.
Pretty cool.
I want to mention when she was talking about the totem,
Hmm.
the octopus part of it had a face, and I since my dad was a carver, I learned that the face indicates that it's a living thing. And when you see beadwork or carvings, either has a face in the center of the body, which means it has a living thing, or sometimes the face is replaced with a heart. It means the same thing.
Mm. So cool.
We were wondering if anybody was familiar with the story.
Yeah, has anyone here heard it before?
No, not me. This is Takliye. I have not heard it before. That was really good.
Mm.
Now, I heard the story before from my dad, and I've told the story, but not as beautiful and true and as wonderful as she told it, so dramatically. So it was quite a change for me to hear it because the men were the orators and were very, very dramatic in telling stories. Somebody, when I told the story, somebody came in and tried to correct me that there were no octopus in the Pacific Ocean and that it had to be what is it? We just talked about it.
A squid?
Squid. There was giant squids, but as Clinkets, I think we all know what an octopus looks like. So the pieces that were found, because he didn't get killed right away, he was able to cut it up, cut the tentacles so the pieces were found on the beach.
Wow. I've never heard this story before, but one of the students I work with on Wednesdays is from Huna, and she told us just a little bit about the giant octopus. So this was a treat for me to hear the story for the first time. And also, it was my first time being able to hear a story while looking at the image of the totem pole. And that was a cool experience. I had never done that before.
And all the details that she included, that was wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, we can even see on the kutia gumboots above the octopus and halibut and the faces that she mentioned.
And what did she say? The man on the totem had a knife and
She said he's holding a tana, a copper shield, and then also a dagger and a halibut hook.
yeah, in the story she says that he used a halibut hook to cut it up. So those halibut hooks were pretty powerful.
Oh. Other things that Shirley mentioned to me while we were preparing for this class is that there's a point that extends from Huna all the way out into the Pacific Ocean, and that it must have been such a tremendously long walk back from the ocean carrying the baby for Hachtuch's wife. I have a picture. Last summer, I was invited on canoe journey with the Village of Cake, and when we paddled into Huna, we went around this point. Um, and I didn't get a picture while we were paddling, but they ended up inviting us on a zip line ride since we got weathered in for a couple days. So the picture I have on the screen is one I took from the top of the zip line. Um, and it was just fun. It's fun to look at that area from above. Any comments or questions from anybody?
So if you want to train to be a storyteller, you better get some help from Huna.
Yeah, I wonder who taught Christy. She was really good.
She said she had a couple of stories. I'm going to ask her today what the other stories.
That would be awesome. Any more comments or questions before we move on to summer harvest plans? All right, let's transition into our plants lesson. And summer's right around the corner. And so we picked quite a few that Shirley had things she wanted to share about, knowledge of, pages from the Harvest book, the Traditional Foods Guide that Search published. And there are a few plants that have a little bit of differences between what's posted in the book, published in the book, and also traditional knowledge that Shachsanikik grew up with. And so we'll discuss those too. The first one is elderberry, and we can practice these together if you guys want to unmute and repeat after me. But the first one is yate.
Yay.
Cake.
Good job.
But that sounds good.
Gonalchish.
In the scientific study of Yates, it's poisonous as far as the state of Alaska is concerned. And it comes in bunches. You break the whole bunch off, and then you can, in a pan, just run your fingers over it, and the berries will fall off, including all the twigs. And my mom used to say, "Don't get too concerned about the twigs because they're edible." And we didn't eat it raw, and I think that's when it's poisonous. We cooked it. We always cook it, and we didn't get very much. My mother used to get a small pan of it and cook it together with salmon eggs to make what is called kaniguat paint, and it's such a good taste.
Let's practice that one too. I have it in boldface print here on the screen for students. Let's practice this word, kaniguat.
Work.
Gok.
Good job.
That's where the word for paint comes from.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've heard that word for paint, and I thought I remember hearing that it came from a pudding dish or berries. In the search book, the Traditional Foods Guide, it says elderberry trees can grow up to 20 feet high. They ripen and can be harvested in summer. Berries can be cooked to remove the toxic alkaloid that may upset your stomach, and small star-shaped flowers can be gathered in late spring to early summer. For preparing, berries are used for jams and jellies after the seeds are removed. Use chopped flowers in pancake, waffle, and cake batters. And then medicinal uses. Flowers can be added to herbal teas. Elderflower tea is used for cold relief. And infusions are used to calm nerves or help with rheumatic pain. I have some relatives with rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah, it doesn't grow in Anchorage, but we found some in Seward.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, what part of town?
And Seward.
Huh. I'll have to go snoop around for some. I've never harvested elderberries because, like you mentioned, I've always heard, oh, it's poisonous, but that's just raw, it sounds like. And the warning at the bottom of the page says elder seeds, stems, roots, and unripe berries can cause cyanide poisoning. Also, the look-alike plant, baneberry, is toxic if ingested. And then there's a poisonous plant section at the back of this book for more information.
The lookalike berries that kind of look like that is a different shape. The one that we're talking about is like shaped like grapes, but the other is kind of like a bouquet, but it looks like, and that's the one that we don't eat. We don't even gather it.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know what the Tlingit word for it is.
Don't either. I'm going to take a quick look at that book and just see if they have the name for it in the back. There's so many plants in this book. Okay, here's our poisonous plants section. Oops. Yeah, baneberry, it doesn't give the Tlingit name. It just says that it can cause sharp pains, diarrhea, and possibly death caused by cardiac arrest or respiratory paralysis. So here's a small picture of it, but no Tlingit name. The next berry we wanted to share, and this one maintained its Tlingit name. Let's practice. Negun.
Negun.
The name Nagoon berry comes from the Tlingit word goon, meaning jewel. Nagoon berries are red and look like a raspberry. Look low in damp meadows in July to late August. They are not usually found in abundance. The berries are fragile, so do not wash them unless necessary. Berries are best eaten fresh the day they are picked. Use them to bake pies or make jams, jellies, juices, syrup. Berries and leaves can also be used to make tea. Berries will keep in a sealed container in the refrigerator only for a couple days. To freeze, spread a layer of berries onto cookie sheets and then transfer them to a freezer bag or other container. Label them and date them. Frozen berries will last up to 2 years. You can use the leaves and roots to relieve diarrhea and dysentery. And then Shirley mentioned to me that Nagoonberry, it was not known by English speakers when they immigrated to Alaska, so they kept the Tlingit name for it, Nagoon.
Yeah, they're picked on the ground like strawberries.
They're just good too. My brother used to pick a whole handful and save them up on our hikes and then eat them. They're really good. Our next one is gray currants. Repeat after me. Shach.
Shach.
I've picked these in Yakutat. I don't know if they grow in Anchorage. Have you seen them in Anchorage, Shirley? South, more of a southeast plant.
Kind of a beach berry.
Mm.
They're available in the fall.
Mm.
They're great, and it doesn't have juice of its own.
Mm.
So we used to mash them and add water because it was very dry.
Oh. Huh. That sounds good. And then the foods guide says currants have a distinct odor, but the berry doesn't taste like it smells. Berries can be picked, like Shirley said, from mid-August to mid-September. To prepare them, lay a clean towel over a cutting board with one end propped up. Gently roll the berries down so the debris clings to the towel. Eat them raw or cooked. Mix with other berries or use in tasty jams, jellies, or syrups. They can be used in place of store-bought currants and recipes. And then to preserve them, keep them in a sealed container in a refrigerator only for a couple of days. Berries can be frozen or dried, and then same thing to freeze them, put them on a cookie sheet and in the freezer, and then transfer them to a container, label and date. These will last in the freezer up to 2 years. Anybody here pick Shach or Nagoon or Yates?
I do. I've got both Yech and Shock on the property that we live on abundantly.
Ooh.
I have to. Last year, I was my first year. I tried harvesting the shock, and like racing my dog. Like my dog would go and she's like eating all the berries. But they're really pretty. Their flowers are really pretty too.
Mm. Is your dog a lab by chance?
No, she's a rat terrier chihuahua.
Oh, and she's got a taste for berries. Okay.
Yeah, it was, I didn't notice it until last year. It was really funny. She was walking around with me and it's like, hey, what are you doing?
Huh. Growing up, we had a chocolate lab and he used to pick berries off the bush like a little bear. It was so cute. Next one is new to me. I didn't know about it till Shirley mentioned it. Stoneberry. And let's practice the Tlingit name Tin.
Pink.
Think.
This one's English name is Stoneberry. And it's not in the traditional foods guide we looked at, but Shirley had some notes about it. And they resemble cranberries on the ground, like strawberries. And Shirley's mom always told her to get these if she saw them. Shirley, did you want to share anything else about tin?
Yeah, they look exactly like cranberries in the same color. And you pick them and they kind of bounce when you throw them in the container. Uh, so we didn't go out to gather a lot of those, but when we ran across it, we got some so we could have it as a treat. My mom used to fix it.
Mm. Sounds good. How did she fix them?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't nosy enough uh, to see that. I was more nosy about carpentry than I was about cooking.
Oh, cool.
I wanted to be a carpenter.
Oh. I was always following my dad because he was always fishing and hunting. And now I'm trying to get some notes from my mom on food prep as well.
Yeah, yeah, girls didn't get to be carpenters in my day.
Hmm.
But I knew a lot about tools and things like that.
Mm. Jacobsberry, let's see. Jacobsberry is so let's practice this one starting with the X at the end and kind of work our way forward. If you guys want to repeat after me.
It.
Yeah. And then starting with the K right before it. And this first syllable, underline pinched K. A.
A.
Okay. Okay.
And the whole word. A.
A.
That
Yeah.
That's
This
a
is,
that's a hard one.
thank you. I feel better now that I struggled. I was
If
like,
you're struggling, we're all lost. No, I'll speak for myself.
"Mm." Yeah, sometimes, I mean, I've been studying Tlingit for 7 years, and I still, if I come across a lot of pinch sounds and consonants, I'll just start at the end and kind of work my way forward. It helps.
I'm trying to muster enough saliva.
Yep.
Yeah,
Stay hydrated, make the
That's
sounds.
exactly it.
yeah. I used to tell my students at the university, we'll take a water break so you can replenish the spit. Because that all those letters when we start running into them like that.
Yeah.
and we didn't gather those.
Oh. Oh, that's right. Okay. I have a note from Shirley's discussion with me. Eat only a handful at a time here and there to get juice in your mouth, but not by the bowlful by any means. And let's look at what the traditional foods guide says from search. Also called Jacobsberry or bunchberry. Bunchberry is commonly found in maritime forests, interior spruce forests, meadows, and bogs. Berries ripen from late July through September, depending on the area. Berries can be eaten fresh or gathered and stored for later use. They're great for using in jams, pies, or puddings since they're high in pectin. Pectin is said to protect the body against radiation. Some say it should be eaten with hooligan grease to make it easier to digest. Leaves and stems were used to make tea to help with pain, coughs, fevers, and even kidney and liver problems. I've never even heard of Jacobsberry. Has anyone here ever harvested them or eaten them while you're hiking?
What is hooligan grease?
Mm, good question. So hooligan is one of our most delicious oily fishes, and I'll show you a picture of it. Let me find it in the book. There it is. So this is hooligan. Its Tlingit name is sock. English names hooligan or candlefish. And we usually get them. I grew up in Seward, so we grew up getting them when they would run in May before the sockeye come. And I used to just go into the creek and put my hands like this if it was a strong current. And then they would just bump, I would feel them bumping into my hands and I could pick up a couple. Um, but you dip net them, and then some people smoke them because they're nice and oily. They taste delicious. We would also pan fry them growing up. Anyone else want to share anything about? Oh, you can harvest them for their grease and jar it. But I've never done that. Has anyone here or anyone here harvest hooligan?
I haven't harvested them, but we grew up down here, so we didn't have access to much hooligan, but still the jar of bacon grease by the oven was still called hooligan oil.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
for cooking.
Yeah.
The hooligan grease that's made is done by the expertise of the Tlingit people in the Haines area, Pakwon. They were even up to now are the experts in how to get the hooligan grease, and you get the traditional way they did it was to put the hooligans in a canoe on the beach, and I don't know how long they wait after it's put in there. Then they start filling the canoe with boiling water poured in. I know somebody will correct me about saying this wrong, but they would put the boiling water in on top of the fish, and the oil would rise to the top, and they would scoop the oil off the top, and that's the part that's called hooligan grease. And in uh, uh, when you have it and you keep it outside during the winter, it's white and solid like shortening. And it tastes so good on pilot bread. Oh my. It's really wonderful. I tried to get some when I go to Celebration to see if somebody's selling it, and try to make because we can use it by the spoonful, keep it in the refrigerator, and just uh, like a daily vitamin. You can take a spoonful every day. That's what hooligan grease is. So if you can get some, you're really blessed because it's hard to get.
Goodness, geez. And we just have a couple minutes more, but let's talk about salmonberry. And salmonberry is called Wascantlegu.
Wask
Wascon
Telugu.
Clegu.
Yeah. Wascantlegu is salmonberry. Pick berries mid-July to late August. Blossoms and buds are available in the spring. Look on hillsides where rain and sun are prevalent. Salmon berries are fragile, so it's best to eat them fresh and not wash them unless necessary. Salmonberry shoots can be gathered in early spring while it's still tender. Break or cut branches and then peel off the bark. Shoots taste great plain or sprinkled with a little sugar. Buds and blossoms can be added to salads. Eat the berries fresh or add to yogurt, cereal, pies, or used to make jelly. Berries and leaves can also be used to make tea. Keep them in a sealed container in the refrigerator for up to 3 days. To freeze them, spread them on a cookie sheet, and then transfer. They'll last in the freezer up to 2 years. And I feel like I looked this up in the dictionary and it explained the name to me, so, but it's evading me, so I'm gonna look it up quickly now. Okay, this term was Kanteru. I'm gonna zoom in, but this word waskan comes from tip of the bush berry. So the part waskan is like bush tip, and then tleru is berry. Any salmonberry pickers here?
What they call salmonberry up here is different. They're on the ground. So it's kind of confusing to use the English word for it. It's the very colorful berries. Some are yellow, bright yellow. Some of them are red, bright red. Some of them are orange color. So you have this beautiful array of berries. They're all growing. The different colors are all there for you to see when you're gathering. And the bushes are as tall as I am, or maybe a little higher, but we used to just go into the woods easily and start gathering them. They were really good for just eating right away or collect them as a treat to take home. So as kids, we used to always disappear into the woods to collect them.
Yeah, I kind of stumbled to call it a salmonberry because where my dad's from in Caltech, our salmonberry is what in English people refer to as cloudberry. So just a different berry, same English name. But cloudberry in Tlingit is ne. But yeah, we're at 5 till, and Shirley, did you have any more comments or questions, or anybody?
Where
I
is-
just wanted to say that I won't be joining you in the fall because I'll be up in Gino in the fall. So
Oh, did you enroll in a school program there?
yeah, I think I'm doing language and crafting studies. I forget the exact name of the program. But yeah, I'll be up there for fall quarter or fall semester, I guess.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah,
that
applied for housing, still waiting to hear back on that. So,
sounds wonderful.
but thank you all very much, Guneshish, for everything so far.
Good luck on your journey going forward. That sounds great.
What I want to say about the berries is
Mhm.
there's absolutely no way we could have covered all the plants.
Yeah.
We're, we're so blessed down there with such a variety of berries. So you might just, if you want to do your own studies on that, and be a big page full of study, lots of berries.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wanted to say, Gonal Sheesh, I do a lot of harvesting, and this year I'm really trying to focus on like learning the Tlingit name before I even go. So last night I went out to harvest some willow. We're making a constructing a sweat lodge for um our traditional peer support that we're doing, and willow is chalk, chalk, chalk. So so good learning, especially connecting when I'm going out. So thank you. Gurushish.
Ah,
I have been following the Klingit Haida Instagram posts, and there was a beautiful little video of some little children describing the things in the water that they found, and I just loved that.
awesome. Thank you for sharing, you guys. I dropped the resource we've been using, the Southeast Alaska Traditional Foods Guide by search into the chat, and it looks like it uploaded. So go ahead and open it up and download it if you want to refer to it during your summer harvesting. But Gunalchish Johan, thank you for coming here and being part of our class this spring. It was fun.
Yeah, gonna teach.
All right. Well, we're at time, but have a great rest of your day and week. And no class on Thursday. This was our last class. So we'll hopefully see most of you in the fall.